Okay. Hello, everyone. We are back with the lesson on people management, and it is a week 2 lesson. The module code is BMM5552, and my name is Madiha Hassan, and my email you can see on the screen. Okay, so as discussed in the last session, the module learning outcomes are these: critically evaluate effectiveness of a range of management and leadership models, then understand the role of personnel and HRM specialists, demonstrate experience of working within a team, and research, analyze, and present complex information as a part of the team. Okay, how people management has been changed over the years in UK. This is today's lesson. Okay. Typically, UK working conditions nowadays are, and how did these develop? So now we have a 5-day week and maximum 40 hours working, and then minimum wage is set every year, and it is increased that no one can work less than that wage. Other than some exceptions, like people who are working 16 to 18 years, they have less wages. Then 4 weeks paid annual leave. Okay, everyone is bound to take 4 weeks of paid annual leave. Sick pay and maternity pay and paternity leave are there. Okay, all employees have a duty to take care of the health and safety of their employees. Okay, if there is a hazard, example of COVID, recent example of COVID, that when there was COVID, employers were had to make sure that their employees are safe. So most of the employees started working from home in order to get that, in order to avoid contacted with COVID patients. Yeah. So moving on towards, how did we move towards this? What are the, if you see that what was the working life in 1800s? So imagine a working day, sorry, of 14 hours, which is too much. Sunday off, only Sunday off, okay, and 2 days holiday per year. Imagine 2-day holidays per year and coming to 4 weeks holiday per year. Diseases such as bronchitis, pneumonia, and tuberculosis were rife. Okay. Because obviously of the working conditions, because of the health conditions, if a person is working 14 hours a day, they hardly would get anything to eat. And the working conditions were such that people were not taken care of. They were working in the factories, where they would not have any masks, or where they did not take any the smoke and everything. They made people sick. Then in 1833, a few of the laws evolved, and then they said no child labor and people under 9 years, and children 9 to 13 years to work in no more than 9 hours a day, children of 13 to 18 years to work no more than 12 hours a day. So they had Factory Act, which actually somehow evolved. But still, you can see that there is a lot of things which needed to be improved. So as you can see, this is the fourth bridge, which was built in 1883 to 1890. So more than 4,600 workers were employed to work. A work accident happened, in which it said that all those who were hurt or suffered sickness during the evening, and there were so many deaths which were undocumented. It said that a total of 73 confirmed deaths were uncovered by researchers into the bridge, which was undocumented. And imagine people dying at work and nobody is concerned. Okay. And then in In 1836 to 1925, almost a century, there was a chocolate manufacturer whose name was Joseph, and he introduced some of the policies, which were welfare policies for for his employees, built affordable, decent. So he actually did something at that time for the employees, though that was also not enough. But at that time, he was one of the revolutionary person who brought in some of the policies, which said he built affordable, decent housing for the employees, recreational facilities, and opportunities for self-improvement and education. Okay, then happened mechanization and descaling. So as machines were introduced, skilled people the demand of skilled people was reduced by developing machines which require only unskilled. So anyone can work on those machines. Why? Because you just have to input things, and then they will be processed themselves, and they will be taken out. Example could be, if you look at the chair, this is a skilled work. This uh, this can be only made by hand with a highly skilled person who, because look at the carving, look at the finishing, look at these things cannot be made by machines. Okay. However, look at this. This is a de-skilled work. Anyone can do it. You just need to go into the factory. There's a very small amount of training that is required to operate the machines, and job broken down into simple tasks, easy learn tasks. Anyone can do that. Just you need to just sorry. So when you have de-skilling means anyone can do the job. It means that you do not have any competitive advantage as an employee. Okay. So employees can be easily replaceable. Anyone can take place of another employee. Then Frederick Winslow Taylor came. He came with the scientific management. He quantified the management. He said that there is only one best way of establishing the task or carrying out a task, and this is how it must be to reduce the time. So he came up with these. He said that a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. Okay, managers must set exact tasks. All workers seek minimum pay for minimum work. Maximum pay, sorry. All workers seek maximum pay for minimum work. Managers must monitor work closely, and pay must be linked to performance. So he was the first person who said that performance, if a person is performing well, they should be paid well. Okay. But obviously there was a lot of work that needed to be done. But at that time, this was one of the revolutionary things. Then world wars came, and there was um, a lot of changes in the rules. For example, women continued to face barriers to equal pay and equal access to certain professions, despite the Sex Disqualification Act. Women were not allowed to do some of the specific tasks, like they were not allowed to be managers, they were not allowed to be, they were seen in a specific kind of role, like maybe housemaid or maybe taking care of children, and roles like those. So rules were very bad at that time. Then in 1970s, but see, imagine equal pay. It was at that time as well in sex disqualification. Even after it happened in 1920, 1919, and imagine in 2010, around that, still the case of Birmingham City Council, the case of Samira Ahmed of BBCC, there was, even after 100 years, there was still issues related to equal pay. Okay. In 1960s and 70s, trade union came. In the late 1960s, government and unions began to grow apart. Okay, and in the 1960s, new technology put an emphasis on efficiency and productivity. Okay, technology was changing. Then Health and Safety at Work Act came in 1974, which is one of the revolutionary thing, because why people, oops, sorry, which, oops, yeah. And then came Margaret Thatcher. She was Prime Minister of UK from 1979 to 1990. She's also called Iron Lady. She came up with such proposals like economic policies helped weaken the unions. So unions were working for the betterments and rights of people, but she came up with an idea. Her economic policies were in such a way that it helped weaken the environment. The recession of early 90s saw manufacturing, the main area of union strength, shrink by half while unemployment soared to over 3 million, which is very, very huge. Okay, so now coming back, we're not going for the political discussion, what happened after that, but coming back to 1980s and 1990s in HRM management, what happened? Generally, at that time, the roles were CEO, then there were managers, and then there were team leaders or assistant managers, and then there were um, executives coming working. Okay. Okay, so this is delayering a level. This is the management level. It's called delayering. Um, Central to the new model of an organization in 1990s is a flatter structure achieved by a reduction in number of layers. So reduction in number of layers. Such a structure becoming synonymous in popular management theory with bureaucracy busting. So when you have less layers, there is less bureaucracy. Decisions are made and not made at the top. They are communicated. There are less layers in that. Shorter path communication. So there's a quick communication. You can take quick decisions, stimulating local innovation and high involvement style of management. Okay. Then employment law in 21st century. This is one of the biggest revolution in the history of HRM in UK. In 21st century, there were a lot of shortage of the skilled labor. People were employed from outside. So there was a rule that actually said in 2004-5 as well, there was global visa. I don't exactly remember the name of that visa, which was introduced to bring global global talent into UK. Obviously, which required a lot of, when you're employing people from overseas, it requires a lot of work for HR. Why? Because diversity, people coming from different, for example, person coming from Asia, Africa, Australia, America, they will bring their own culture, they will bring their own, ethics of work. So obviously managing those kind of global talent is very difficult. Then whistleblowing was started. Whistleblowing means if you see something happening wrong in the organization, you have to whistleblow. Obviously, still there are a lot of, so there was a protection for whistleblowers as well, that if a person is seeing something wrong, their job should not be in the danger. Employing part-time workers, there were a lot of people previously only full-time. Now in 21st century, the revolution is people are only working certain hours, people are working flexibly. Even now you can add working from home in that. Okay, statutory maternity, adoption pay, it was also included. Now women get 39 weeks of paid working, 39 weeks of paid maternity. Even fathers get 2 weeks of paternity. It seems is the case with adoption. And retirement age is changed from to 65 years for men. Then there was an Equality Act. Equality Act means everyone is equal. Okay. No discrimination related to 9 protected characteristics. Sorry. Which are age, gender, sexuality, and sexuality, ethnicity, religion, etc. and etc. Okay. Oops. Yeah. So in 2010, there was another revolution which came in, which is that gigs economy or the gig economy. Companies such as Uber, Deliveroo, Amazon, etc., have been highlighted as providing great employment opportunities through their use of casual contracts, 0 hour contracts. You are employed to an organization, but you are working when you are available or when they need it. Okay. Free companies from some of HR burden. So if you employs people who, for example, it's self-employed, okay, you are not doing anything as a company for them. Most of the things they are doing their own taxes, they are doing their own holidays and other things. So company is responsible for less. Okay. However, these companies are increasingly criticized for undermining the principles of fair labor relations. So Uber was in a great deal was criticized. Why? Because the working conditions of the Uber drivers was very poor. Okay, they were not caring for employee. If, for example, if a person is driving an Uber and he's not well, so company doesn't know, person needs money, so they will be working even um, when they are. So there is a very good article on that. I'll send you all, and you can just go through it, which says, and then there was a case against Uber, and Uber lost it, and now they have developed new HR policies which are in support of its employees. Yeah. So what is people management for? Okay. You can see the examples, very big examples. Sports Direct and Primark top list of companies named and shamed for paying below national wage. Imagine in UK, some of the companies, and this is, if you see that this article is from December 2017. Remember, there are some exemptions related to minimum wage that people from age of 16 and 18, they get a different wage in order to discourage working at that time. Similarly, people from age 18 to 24, they are paid differently, and the rest are paid differently according to the minimum wage. Okay. So Sports Direct, Primark, big names, but it's 6 7 years old news now. I recently Primark is paying, I think, more than the wage, I think 11 or 12 pound um, an hour to its employees. Similarly, overworked pilots snooze at controls. Okay, so pilots are overworked. This comes under health and safety, a very big hazard. Imagine a pilot is carrying 200, 250 people in the airplane, and if they are not, um, and if they do not rest properly, and if they are overworked, then obviously it's going to be a very big danger for all of the passengers. Obviously for their health as well, and for others' health and safety as well. Is it the end of supermarket checkout till? Very big issue here as well. What? People. If everything is going to be done by machines, who is going to need people? You see at your local markets, if previously there were maybe 30 people, for example, Asda, look at the bigger stores, if maybe 20 or 30 people working there, now you could only see maybe 10 people working there. So it means that they are reducing the size of the people by introducing. So where is the problem? The problem is where those people are going to go. They have to go somewhere. Okay, it will increase the unemployment. Then the fourth one, to offer self-employed drivers sick pay and annual leave. Okay, so the parcel delivery company, PDP, is going to give self-employed drivers access to benefits such as paid annual leave. Even Uber did the same when they were under a lot of criticism, and then they started to give sick pay to the drivers as well. Okay. Role of contemporary HRM. HR is changing, as we can see how it changed from 18th century to now 2000, in the 21st century. Okay. So contemporary HRM, new HRM. There is a shift from primary focus of supporting the line managers to manage their people work. Okay. To one of delivering sustainable organization, capability and performance. Resources from professional bodies are useful to keep up to date, such as CIPD and ACAS. ACAS is one of the best organization. ACAS actually tells you how to deal your employees, or where there is an issue where you can be brought to the tribunal. Okay. Similarly, CIPD is the organization. It is Chartered Institute of Personnel Development, which tells you about the new ways of dealing with the employee. And there is another thing, which is obviously government website or government rules and regulations. You can just, for example, if you want to see the maternity rules, you can just go to government deadline and government website, and you can just check that, okay, what are the rules regarding maternity in UK law. So if we conclude our overall today's session, we can say that huge strides from the earliest format of workplace to the modern one. So there is a very huge, imagine working 14 hours a day to 8 hours a day with breaks. If a person is working 8 hours a day, they should be having at least 1 hour break, half an hour break after every 4-hour shift, and 10 minutes break in between. Okay. Work is now safer, more inclusive, and better of all concerned. Thanks to the government rules and laws. I do worry about erosion of work rights since 2010. For example, employees can now be subject to a probationary period of up to 2 years, which is a matter of concern. Why? Because if you are on probation for 2 years, it means that you can be fired anytime. This is one of the things which should not be there. Okay, so these are the things that still need to be improved. There's a great deal of evidence that shift to less rigid employment relation has supported employee levels, but also eroded the productivity gains that might be found in a well-ordered approach to people management. Okay. Thank you so much. That's it. This is an activity that needs to be performed. You can look at the slides for that, and you can do it in your own time. And these are all the useful resources that are included in this in making of these slides. Thank you so much, and that's it. And see you next week.